What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster. And the saddest thing about the news that I'm going to talk about here is the fact that this year, 2024, it was supposed to be a triumphant year for Ubisoft with all of the major releases that they had scheduled to come out. But instead, it has been an absolute catastrophe.
I've reached the top!
People have obviously had it with this company and their slimy corporate moves against the consumers, the corners that they cut when designing the games, and also their insistence on incessantly shoveling their own political views into games. Well, these despicable practices are finally catching up to Ubisoft this year, culminating now with another failed game which they had massively high hopes for. XDefiant is being sunsetted.
Oh no! Anyway,
to top it off, the production studios in San Francisco and in Osaka are both closing down. The team in Sydney is ramping down, and according to reporter Stephen Totillo here, 177 people are going to be laid off from the company, though he later corrected his own report saying the number is 277. Half of the team working for XDefiant are being moved to other things, and then he notes that Ubisoft was originally hoping that this game would be able to compete with, get this, Call of Duty.
Oh look, an idiot. Let's point and lie.
That right there is the height of unrealistic ambition. That is like an ant climbing up an elephant's leg with sexual assault on its mind. Meanwhile, the Ubisoft stock price has tumbled some more in the wake of this news. The shareholders are probably furious at the people who run Ubisoft, thinking to themselves,
What the hell is wrong with you people?
and of course, the management team that's running the company into the ground at this point can realistically only answer by saying,
I'm a real failure.
Alright me hearties, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitter or X, or whatever you want to refer to it as these days. I keep a list on there of games lousy with wokeness pinned to the account at all times for your reference. My handle over there is Dr. Disaster 1. But alright, let's take a look at the XDefiant situation and how badly Ubisoft has screwed this year up. They have a litany of massive failures that were supposed to be huge hits from this year. You have to understand, in order to really get the full context of everything that's going on with Ubisoft, you have to understand that as a company, prior to 2024, they had operated a loss of about €500 million for the entirety of this decade. That means from 2020 through 2023, they were running at a loss, which isn't necessarily a bad thing on its own because they were banking on 2024 being their big year. They were supposed to make it all back this year with titles they had been working on for a while. All of their investments were supposed to come to fruition in 2024. Skull and Bones was supposed to be the biggest game ever. They called it the first quadruple A game, but it failed miserably, and they can hardly give that thing away. Star Wars Outlaws was supposed to capitalize on the Star Wars IP and usher in a new era of new Star Wars games being developed by Ubisoft, but that game was a massive flop to the point that the company's stock price plummeted, being basically cut in half. And then Assassin's Creed Shadows was supposed to be the triumphant first ever journey into Japan for the franchise, a game which players had been asking to see for over a decade now. But Ubisoft bungled it so bad, and they were so spooked about the failure of Star Wars Outlaws that they pushed the game's release back to February, where it will now struggle to compete with the other major games coming out that month, including Monster Hunter Wilds, Kingdom Come, Deliverance 2, and Civilization 7. Even the Prince of Persia game that came out earlier this year caused the studio that made it to close down, and now we have Ubisoft announcing that they are no longer able to justify continuing support of XDefiant. Here is the message that Ubisoft posted. It says, "Thank you for your incredible dedication and support of XDefiant. We regret to inform you that we are initiating the sunset process starting today, December 3rd, 2024. As a result, new downloads, player registrations, and purchases will no longer be available. Season 3 will still launch, so stay tuned for more updates to come. The servers will remain active, and the game will be fully playable until June 3rd, 2025. And now, if you're counting along with me, this is 5 games that were scheduled to come out this year. 4 of them were flops of the worst kind, and 1 of them was pushed back to early next year. Considering that, once again, investors were promised this was supposed to be the big year for the company, this is just about the worst possible outcome for Ubisoft. About the only thing that keeps the stock price from flatlining now is the rumor that came out about 2 months ago now that Tencent was interested in purchasing Ubisoft. At this point, I suspect that the rumor was leaked simply to stem the bleeding. I'll bet you it was leaked by Ubisoft themselves. This is a company that is being held together by duct tape and chicken wire at this point. But rather than acknowledge what ails them, rather than address the adversarial nature of their relationship with gamers, these bozos are radio silent. They clearly feel like they're above us lowly plebs out here in the real world. The only time they address the public anymore these days seems to be when they're announcing a new game or when they're forced to announce a shutdown like with XDefiant or a delay with Assassin's Creed. The company still has over 18,000 employees. It is a bloated mess, but at this stage, I expect that number will get trimmed down even more in 2025. If I were an employee of the company, I would be nervous as hell going into the next year. If Assassin's Creed does not do well, it's hard to believe the share value will remain stable for Ubisoft, which it's been reported that one of the main compensation packages for the employees is shares in the company, so that hurts them a whole lot. But if the company doesn't get a massive injection of capital with Assassin's Creed, then it's hard to see a world where they don't go on another massive layoff spree. But I'm going to leave it there. Drop your mockery of Ubisoft and XDefiant into the comment section below, and we will talk there.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty